Welcome to the Microsoft Cloud Option webinar series. My name is Vivek Bhatnagar. I am a CTO and founder for UnifyCloud. So while you start expanding your landing zones, there are some of the deeper concept you would be doing, and which is like some sort of a guidance already available on Microsoft. Microsoft documentation, which I highly recommend to go through these, like how do you implement networking, how do you implement the storage and security controls, how do you do a database and cost management part of it. And again, like these all guidance come with some type of subjectiveness, like because the people who are writing these guidance may not understand the complete environment that you are working on, and will not able to give you um, not able to give you like a very specific recommendation. So in case you need a very specific recommendation, you would like to review these things, you can always go ahead and talk to them. There is a documentation available like on Microsoft websites, which actually give you the best practices around like different things. So for example, like typically the networking side, for example, if you think about, so how do you build the networking, best networking, and what are the different aspect of networking available on Azure. So a lot of documentation available here, which you can go and look at these documentation to make sure that you follow these best practices while expanding your landing zone. I also want to include one slide on learning aspect of it, because as we discussed, that keeping current is always challenging. In all these things, like we have Microsoft provided like a lot of community training which are free from Microsoft side. Then Microsoft will launch a very useful site called Microsoft Learn, and they are actually now consolidating all learning aspect into Microsoft Learn. So you can actually go through this website and you can look at a lot of self-learning courses. You can actually look at, okay, if you want to be an architect, what should I learn? So you can actually do a role, some sort of a role wise learning always here. Then we do have LinkedIn Learning, which actually connects and bring a lot more time back to the education center and learning path. So these are like different places where you can go and actually learn about Azure, and make sure that you are always keeping yourself current in a standardized fashion. Okay, this brings us to the what tools are available. Then it's landing zone, as I start. I'm talking about is a complex concept, and one of the maximum time devoted to it while doing a basic projects. But there are a lot of tools available which Microsoft is given for actually building the landing zones and other thing. The one of the very easy and useful tool is about Microsoft landing zone blueprints. So Microsoft has built a lot of blueprints which actually help you in building these landing zones. So if you look at if you go to these blueprints, you can actually always look at a lot of information come into this. So this is the Microsoft you know different types of blueprints you are available to you. You can actually look at different types of blueprints. You can how to deploy blueprints, and there are like a lot of Azure sample blueprints which are very useful, and you can see that there are samples available and they keep adding it. So if you are doing a project for Canadian government, Canadian Federation, CIS blueprints, DoD blueprints, FedRAMP moderate and high, these blueprints are available. You can start with them. You can HIPAA. So these are all sample blueprints are available. For example, if you're building a PCI application, how you do it, and all these blueprints code available into GitHub. So it's very, very useful resources. I highly recommend everybody to start here in case they are building it for a specific standard. If not, then you can always look at CAF Foundation blueprint or CAF Migration Landing Zone. So these two are the simpler one which you can use. Like in case you have a customer who know nothing about it, then you can actually start always from these places and look at more details here while building these blueprints. So this is a one or tool. Then there is a like one of the decision guide, which is like quickly align things with the customer. So this is what I have already shown you, a lot of decision guide for computes and what decision guide for networking and other thing. But again, like the main problem with decision guides are like there is always a gap between adding something new in Azure and then updating these. So useful, but like you always do your own research. Uh, the other tools like which we have discussed is nothing but like implementation guides. These are available like Azure setup guides and migration guide. Again, very useful resources. You can find these resources while going through the Azure portal, and it's a really good resource like from that perspective. Okay, the other thing is Azure architectural review, and again this is a new assessment tool from Microsoft, and it's very it's a very useful tool. So here, if you go, this is like Microsoft is consolidating all their migration here. So if you look at here, these are the all tools you can use. Oh, the two tools I want to talk to you is about. One is the Azure architecture review. You can actually start open this. You can actually you can so I have already run it, but it is based on a few questions. Um, uh, so you can actually return to the guidance report. So it asks few questions, and then based on those answers, it will actually tell you what you need to do for identity, for identify opportunities. How do you do the cost management, your DevOps? And this is all the recommendation based on answers I have given. So very useful tool if you are an architect and you like some guide rails to think about your things. So this is very useful tool. We call it like all recommendations for architectural. Similarly, there is another tool called Strategic Migration Assessment and Readiness tool. Again, this is based on some standard questions. So they ask 17 questions, and then basically they help you. So it is kind of a uh, it's kind of assessment that you do while you starting assessment. You can select like and they ask all sorts of questions. They ask like questions around like around technology. They ask about like where you are on your business cycle and other thing, and based on that recommendations or answers you are giving. For example, I'm just giving few answers so that I can show you the main report. I use them as a thinking tool so that make sure that I'm not missing any point while doing an engagement. So it's very good thinking tool. A lot more time I generate these while talking to customer, because customer typically don't want to themselves fill this tool, and we sometimes fill it for them by asking question or understanding the situation, and then basically generating some plan that this tool will help you. What's your score like? Give you what your success criteria or success possibility. Then it will tell you that where you done a lot of work and where you need more work. So business strategy, your partner support, discovery assessment, business case, migration plan. So the questions are based on that. And the idea is like to reach to at least excellent score for everything. If not, then it also suggests you what to do. So like you can see like recommendations, for example, one recommendation here, five recommendations here. So you have to do these things, get your Azure certified, get your developer certified. So these are just recommendations. Then how do you make sure that your success to this migration percentage is going up and up? So these tools are very useful. Again, like given into one place where you can see that architecture review and then also like a strategic migration assessment and readiness tool. So I highly recommend them. Use these tools, create it for your customers, help them in understanding these things, and help them in building a skill plan or migration plan, or whatever these things they need. And it can also create it basically go and create these kinds of diagrams for actually all the things. So it's again very important. So these are tools which we can use around building landing zone, or doing architecture review, or doing a migration readiness.